Yeah, guys, scrappers. Just wanted to talk about scrapping photocopiers and what's so good about them or what's not so good about them. Well, there's probably not a lot good about photocopiers, as you've probably already found out if you've ever bothered to scrap one. The main problem is that there's very little value. They're very time consuming. You end up with a lot of plastic, and you got a lot of dirty ink and toner cartridges that you've got to send off to recycling or whatever. So what I'll do is I'll get rid of this top section. I'll scrap this out, clean up the plastic, and I'll take out the cartridges. I'll get rid of as much plastic that I can, and we'll go to the next step, and we see where we go to from there. But like I said, I just want to prepare it for scrap metal. So in here I can see this box here. So the boards are going to be around the back here. Yeah. So. When you see these, you say, oh geez, these would have been really expensive to buy. I've got to grab one to scrap it out. Mate, you're kind of wasting your time, really. Down here we just got paper shelves. Okay, still got paper. So that's about the best value I've got so far, is a bit of free paper. But once you take out these shelves, they're just basically, you've got to send them off to recycling, to recycle plastic. We've got some nice A3 paper here. Okay, well, 15 minutes into it, I've taken off most of the plastic, and yeah, basically just how I wanted it, like a steel cavity. That's all the steel that I've taken out of it so far. That's the plastic bag for the toner cartridge, and that's all the plastic that I've got out of it. A whole heap, just more plastic than you could actually see on the unit before I started. It's just, a huge pile. So this is the main reasons why I can't really be bothered scrapping photocopies, or why anyone else doesn't want to scrap them. And but now that I've got the plastic out, it's kind of more acceptable for the scrapyard to take. So this is about as far as I want to go. I've got one more paper tray down there that I need to take out. So around the back is where we've got the main boards, and so yeah, not a lot. Like this little side panel here. So we've got a little board here. We've got two of these motors here that we can probably get out if they're not going to be too difficult. And behind this tray we've got just sort of get this off. Okay. So we've got the main boards in there. So we've got a high grade board here that sort of goes right through. So it's quite a large board. It's got a couple of ram sticks up here. And then we've got some smaller boards here, kind of like slot cards that we can take out. And then behind this whole panel, there's another power board, or another little circuit board in there. Looks like just a mid-grade board. Another board up here. Another motor. So yeah, there's going to be motors sort of scattered in around it, but I don't want to open it up too much to to just give me more rubbish to have to deal with. I sort of want to keep it as intact like this as I can. In the top, so we've got the main keyboard part. So we've got a mid-grade board here. It's a couple of little power boards there might be a gold plated board under here, but not a lot, a bit of wire. And inside here, the top where we've got the main scanner part, we're going to have, I'll get this part open, get this board out. There'll be a Ccd sensor in there that we'll have a look at. But that's about it. So as you can see, these photocopiers, you know, well, sure, there is a nice board here, and it's probably going to be, you know, it's going to be high grade and it's pretty big. It's going to be as big as a motherboard. But you know, you've got 100 kilos or 220 pounds of scrap steel and plastic that you've got to deal with before you get a few dollars worth of scrap. So this is why companies charge up to $300 to pick them up, because yeah, even though they cost a fortune to buy, once they're end of life, there's no value in there at all. It's just basically a big steel contraption that they've laid a whole heap of plastic over the outside. And as you know, plastic's not worth nothing. Scrap steel is, you know, only worth about $40 a ton. You know, back in the day when I first started scrapping and you were getting 250 a ton, you know, I'd sort of justify picking them up, because at least I'd get like 20 bucks, 25 bucks for the whole unit. And you know, and so, you know, oh well, you know, that's an extra 25 bucks if I picked up a little bit more eWaste on the side. That was a bonus, but just not worth it. All right, well, I'm just going to remove those boards, and we'll have a closer look at them. I want to have a closer look at the Ccd sensor, and that's about it, and that'll be it, and then I'll send the rest to scrap steel. Right, so I've just taken out the main board to give you a better look at it. So yeah, so it's got, you know, some nice gold corner chips and some very large flat packs on it. So, you know, it's definitely a good quality board. It's definitely a good high grade board. Even these little RAM sticks, quite 512 megabytes. Yeah, good little heavy RAM sticks to add to the collection. And on the other side, we've just got, in here, there's a hard drive. So we'll get the hard drive out. So at least that's a little bit of a bonus, to get a hard drive, get a couple of RAM sticks, and yeah, just a very big high grade board. I'd say it'll weigh just about as much as a motherboard, if not a little bit more, but probably a good one to depopulate because of this, you know, such large IC chips, the gold corner chips, and so on. Also, obviously, we're going to have a lot of wire running through it, and so with that taken out, as you can see, there's, you know, you've got this more stuff that I need to, you know, the more you open up, the more rubbish you've got to take out. So here's another piece of plastic. We've got this container here. It's got like a liquid in there for the toner. So now we've got to, you know, get rid of this, dispose of it properly. We've got a switch in here. Looks like a 20 amp switch. So that's going to have, you know, if you're into silver recovery, got a nice big motor here, and we've got these motors on the little circuit boards to get a few of them there. So there's quite a few motors. There's also a power board when I get this. So there's a power board inside there that we can, you know, if it's not too difficult, we can get that out. Being a power board, it's only low value, so if it's going to be too much work, we can, you know, just leave it and maybe just take off some of the copper spools from the outside. But yeah, there's about there's a few motors in here, and I just want to get to this board here. It's only a mid-grade, but it's still looks like a decent board, and we're going to get a lot more wire out of it anyway. And yeah. And so these motors are pretty much all over it. So yeah, so with the motors, when you take them off, if you can, keep the wiring and the connector switch off the circuit board, and so we keep the whole motor intact, and we can sell them for a few bucks each. This bigger one here, you know, you might get $5 or so. So we can add a little bit of value just by selling these motors to enthusiasts and stuff. So yeah, so I'll just clean up this wire now, try and get out a couple more boards, get out a few motors, and we'll see how we go. Okay, well, I'm pretty much done here. I've scrapped out pretty much everything that I wanted out of it. I left the low grade board inside there because it was just not worth spending any more time trying to get at it. I've got pretty much everything I want out of it, and it's, you know, nice and presentable now for the scrap metal yard. I can get rid of it during my next scrap steel run. So, you know, there's still 150 pounds or so of steel here, a little bit of steel left over. Obviously I've got all that plastic to get rid of, so that's a job in itself, because, like, you know, there's no money in plastic, so well, ABS plastic anyway, so you know, I just have to take that to the recycler and give it to them for free, pretty much. So at least I've gotten rid of it. I've taken out anything of value, and, you know, it's just yeah, I can just get rid of it now and just be done with it, and it's just give me a little bit extra room in the yard. Just a good reminder that unless I get paid for them, and paid reasonably well, I'm not really going to, you know, I'm certainly not going to pick them up for free. So we've got a bit of wire out of it. I've had about, this is I think my 5th beer now that I've done. So if you're wondering how long it takes to scrap a photocopier, a freestanding photocopier, it takes 5 beers. Okay, so that'll give you a good indication of how long it takes. And so that's the wire. We've got some motors here. We've got these standard type motors with the circuit boards. These I'll just throw in with motors because they don't sell as well as these stepper type motors. You know, people seem to like these, and as you can see, I've left the wire on there, so, you know, at least, you know, that gives them one start. There's no other cogs or anything with them. Just can't be bothered, you know, collecting all the other components that stick to them. But this nice big one, you know, this is a really good one. It's definitely a stepper motor, and helps to have the part number and all that on there, just to give reference to the type of power that comes out of them. So I ended up getting 4 of these steppers and 4 of these circuit board motors, so that's not bad. Can get a little bit extra, you know, I might get $5 for this stepper motor, who knows, you know, may even get more. They're smaller ones, they got the wire intact, so they'll be pretty good. Got a hard drive out of it. It's only 41.1 gigabyte, so it's certainly nothing that I can sell, but it just goes with hard drives. Got a bunch of boards. The main board that I thought was one big board was actually 2 boards stuck together. So we got a high grade board here with gold corner chip, and we've got another high grade board with a gold corner chip. This one had 2 RAM sticks. It's also got a couple of these little whatever they are, they're just little I can't think of the name right now, but anyway, a little bit of gold. So yeah, the board's not so bad. Gold plating, and yeah, got some mid-grade boards. A few batteries need to take off. Some you know, a bit of gold plating, some IC chips and so on. Another larger mid-grade board here, not too bad. Some smaller ones, Got some low grade brown boards, nothing really there. This one here, it's got all tactile switches on it, so good for silver recovery. If you keep tactile switches, a lot of people don't keep them, but I like to keep them, and one day when silver is, you know, shoots up to the moon, I'll pluck out all these little silver tabs in there and sell them. Another mid-grade board here, and finally the Ccd Sensor Board. So this Ccd sensor has got this is one that I call a silver one because it's predominantly silver, but there's also a little bit of gold in there as well. I like these boards, I just like collecting them, and this is one of the bigger type of boards. Usually in a scanner it'll just be the Ccd sensor and the board itself, but in this case there's a large IC chip and some other things on there, and it's quite a very long Ccd sensor actually. So there's definitely precious metals in these sensors. Sometimes they can have gold legs as well, but in this case they don't, just tin. But that's it. That's photocopiers, and try and avoid them if you can, unless you're getting paid to take them away, and then you'll have a bit more fun scrapping them when you've already made a bit of money out of it. Alright, well, keep scrapping, have fun, and I'll catch you next time, hey?